What's up, everyone? I'm here. We're back. We got a big guest today. The only New Englander to compete for senior world team spot, Mr. Nico Provo. Nico, how we doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Better now, some would say. So
Yeah, but better now. You got that big match out your way. Under your belt. That's some great experience to have wrestling at that level with those stakes. So kind of just talking about it, how did you prepare going into Final X to face Cronin?
yeah, prep was good. So I think I had a lot of time off in the season, redshirted, so I didn't compete for a while. And then last spring I didn't really compete in freestyle either, just because the folk style season was a lot. So it was a little different. I haven't competed freestyle in almost 2 years. So the open was kind of like my first time, and then back down to 125, which was good. It was fun. So I had some good results there. And then I kind of just kept the prep going. My coaches did a good job here at school. Coach Gray was really leading me. Coach Hayden, Ayers, Ruggie, all those guys. We sat down when we heard the news, basically, that we can wrestle off at Final X. My original plan was like get going for U23s and just have two competitions. And then we heard obviously Final X was like it's a lot cooler than it's a lot cooler than U23s, and plus one match, and it made sense. So prep was good. I trained super hard. I had some good partners coming in for me. So that was great. Resources helped out here, and then from there it was just get into the date. So yeah, no, it was good overall.
And then the match sadly didn't go in your favor, as I'm sure everyone in New England wanted you to win, was pulling for it. But I believe it was 1-0 after the first period, right?
Yeah, I think it was 2-0. But I got put on the clock for one of them, so it was an interesting dynamic. Just trying to the clock was like I hadn't been on the clock in a while, so it was a little different.
Like you said, you hadn't wrestled freestyle in a while at this point.
Yeah, it was good, but it's like riding a bike. You did like 2 weeks of transitions, and the next thing you know, you're back. Your lace going, guts, all that good stuff. So I think I was down 2-0, but at the break I felt good. And then I scored the push out, and then it's 2-1. So then it's like then you're in a match. So
and Liam Cronin was quoted as saying, Nico wrestles really well from space. Preparing for a darter who has a fast low double was key. So did you feel like he made any adjustments that you weren't able to get to your normal attacks?
Yeah, I think Cronin did a really good job of wrestling where he had to be the whole time. He stayed super low in his stance. He kept his elbows in. The game plan, like I knew he was gonna just try to come hook. I knew his lefty hair crotch was a good shot. But he just did a really good job kind of staying where he needed to be to kind of win, controlling, constantly circling and digging hook. Made it a little tougher to kind of, get inside and get my stuff going. So props to him for that.
And so, it felt good, I imagine, just wrestling freestyle again, for a couple months.
Yeah, definitely. In high school, freestyle was my favorite thing. That's like kind of when I first started getting, my results, getting recruited, it was freestyle results at first.
You were a Fargo All-American, right?
So one more time?
You were a Fargo All-American, right?
Yeah, a few times. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And let's talk about, let's go way back before high school now. When did you, before you were an All-American, national champion, all that?
A long time before that.
Yeah. When did you first step on the mat?
Oh man, I was young. I was a kid, like, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years old. One of those. My older sibling, and my 2 older siblings, they wrestled. My dad wrestled in high school. And I was kind of just, around and kind of just running around the mat, playing games or whatever. And then, I probably started competing with, when I was like, I don't know, 7 or 8. I was super into football.
That was the first one.
Yeah, I believe it or not, I really like football, but obviously.
What position did you want to play?
I was quarterback and D end.
Oh,
Funny enough.
okay, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I liked wrestling. I thought it was fun.
Mhm.
Uh, my dad put my at the time my brother was in high school, so I was still pretty young. My dad put like a 10 by 12 in our basement.
Mm,
Um,
always a
and
good practice.
next thing you know, yeah, it's a typical wrestling start story. And then I wrestled just in the winter, and then I started getting pretty good at it. I won my first ever tournament. I remember. It was like but it was like the Berlin Games or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and my dad was telling me like, well, I won the first two matches. I don't really kind of remember those, but I remember before the finals, I'd wrestled this kid. He like had won like kid states or something, and my dad looked at me and was like, he said something about him being a state champ or whatever, and I was like, yeah, like I don't even know what that means. And then he told me he's got a good cradle, so he was like, don't get cradled, and I was like, all right, like I won't. So then I went out there and I think I pinned him or something, but
Wow.
it was just a funny story. So yeah, I started winning right off the bat in wrestling, and then from there, I was pretty good youth kid, I guess.
Yeah, not many people could, say they started winning,
Yeah. I was gonna say usually it's like everyone losing to a bunch of matches, getting scored, giving up all this stuff. For me, I don't honestly don't know what it was. Maybe a competitive drive or something, but
Natural athleticism probably helped a
I
little.
don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I was just shooting doubles out there, so not much changed. Not much has changed.
Yeah. And when you were starting that young, what was it? Southside? Was Southside even a thing back then?
Southside was I didn't start going to Southside until I was part of the first regime. So like we were
Oh,
first ever
that wasn't
with
even
with
Southside then.
Steve and all. I started working with Jack Conroy, who was like my biggest mentor, lifelong coach now. When I was I think like 12 or 13, he was still like coaching my soon to be high school GFA. And we were going to a jiu-jitsu gym with one of my former teammates, CJ Shea. Shout out to Shays.
Wrestling wrestler, I think,
Yeah,
right?
Wesleyan, yeah, all American stud. But him and I, we went to he came to our, we used to go to the Milford Indians. And that was our club back then. CJ came one day, and then next thing you know, we start training together, and we played baseball together. We did a bunch of stuff together, and then Jack came around, and my dad was like, "Hey, we got this guy. He's wrestled D1. He's super close to our house. Like, it makes sense." So then I started working with Jack, and then yeah, the rest is history from there. And then obviously, like I went to Southside even before. So funny enough.
And if you didn't go to GFA, where would you have gone? Stratford, Bunnell?
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have gone to Stratford or Brunel. I probably would have went to either Trumbull. There was like an ag program I was gonna try to do. Either Trumbull or Ward, one of those.
Strong programs.
Yeah, we would have figured it out. I think Danbury would have been too far, but like I definitely wasn't gonna go to a Stratford school. I know that. So
And nowadays, academy, in the upper echelon of teams in
yeah,
England, and
yeah,
and
yeah.
making their way into some national team rankings.
Oh yeah.
That wasn't always the case. GFA was always good, and I feel like you kind of, saw that personally. The transformation of the team. If I'm right.
Oh yeah, no, it was cool. I was like, I would say we were part. I'd say like me, the CJ and I, the Seyfrieds, we like Caleb and Griffin. That we were kind of like the first group to kind of come in, and yeah, it kind of just took off. I guess we were the first like full-time wrestlers. Other than that, we had like GFA is an interesting school where they require you to play sport all three seasons. So wrestling, is a tip like you can wrestle in the winter.
To just pick it up.
But Jack gravitated towards us, and then he kind of put his hat full into coaching, and at the same time, and next thing you know, I trusted in him, and yeah, that was it. The rest is history now, I guess. It's funny enough, but yeah, they're pretty good now, so that's good.
What year was your freshman year again?
I was at, I think 2018 of my 2019, 2018, one of those.
Okay, because I graduated in 2018, and my biggest claim to fame was beating a GFA kid at the Shelton tournament.
Let's go, the Shelton Invitational.
Yeah, dude, you guys.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I remember I saw Seyfried wrestle there and some other guys.
Yep. Yeah, I wrestled there. That's hilarious, dude. That's a good pull right there. The
Yeah,
Sean
back
Invitational.
there.
That's a good one.
So, tell me what it was like then, to see the evolution of the team to finally capture New England team title for prep in 2021.
Oh man, that was cool. Yeah, that was something. I mean, it's just a testament to, leadership there. I mean, GFA really bought in administratively, which was helpful for us. I mean, our head of school he's the man, Bob Whalen. He's awesome. Um, yeah, I think GFA just like it is a great place. Like I think success was bound to come. I mean, Jack continued to work hard, bringing in other coaches, other resources. So it's kind of got more serious. And I think now at the high school level, you see you got to be pretty serious. I mean, it's got to kind of run like a college program a little bit. With all these schools, getting created and everyone's good now. So it's always, people always ask me, they're like, "Oh, is GFA a boarding school?" I'm like, no, it's not. It's a day school, which is hilarious. They think it's boarding. It's cool. I mean, we slowly just got better over time. When I was there, just continuing to compile stuff. I mean, like Griffin, All-American, I think my freshman year, he was the first All-American since Conroy, which was a long time before that.
9, I think I want to say.
Yeah, oh wait, one of those, 08 or 09, one of those. And then actually might have been 07. He's old now.
Might have been, yeah. It was that though. High.
One of those. I don't know, but it was a ways away. I remember we used to always see it on the board. And yeah, Griffin took 7th, I think, and then from there it was just kind of like that's the expectation. It's the expectation to place or win at national preps, whatever. So be it. And as we got older, the more people started seeing us have success and realizing GFA was a good spot. So it's super cool to see how they are now.
Yeah, definitely. I bet you probably, if you're home for Christmas, I don't know how much time you get during your season. You probably back in there.
No, I'm there every time I'm home. I'm there.
Awesome.
Whether it's at GFA, whether it's at Southside or whatever. I don't lose touch with these guys. I was there, I stopped by back home over the weekend after Final X, and I was there. I always find myself there no matter what. So
you're in California right now?
Yeah, I'm back in California. I have an internship, so they kindly let me go to Final X. My first week was Final X week, and then they let me take off for 2 days.
What the reaction there? For like, yeah, I'm wrestling for a spot on Team USA.
Yeah, I mean, so my boss, he's a Stanford alum wrestler.
Oh.
And he's getting, he's starting to get plugged back into the network. But it was just hard to be like, I called him a few weeks in advance when I found out, just to get put it on his radar. He thought it was super cool, but I get there for orientation, onboarding, and I'm like, I gotta tell like other administrators, hey, like I'm gonna be out these 2 days. It's like, oh, like why? It's like it was kind of I'm not one to be like telling people, or bragging. So I was like, I kind of got this thing. It's like wrestling tryout thing. It's like I don't know how to explain like Final X to someone who is not. So it was I navigated it, I guess, but it was super cool. Like the office was great. I got back and everyone was asking me like, oh, how was your trip back? People I didn't even tell. So that was pretty awesome.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So and I'm kind of going back to high school a little bit.
Yeah.
Out of all the tough tournaments you wrestled in high school, Fargo, Prep Nationals, Prep Zone, Super Cup, which one do you think is the hardest? And also, which one do you think benefited the most when it comes to getting recruited?
Ooh, I think for me personally, I think Fargo and Super 32 pipeline will forever be the toughest thing to do. You train super hard for Fargo. It's your whole summer. It's kind of like, nationals or whatever. And then you got to roll Super 32 like 2 months after, but you got to, folk style. and top bottom super serious at Super 32. Plus everyone's going one way in. Like it makes it super hard. But like I always recommend anyone in high school, you got to just compete everywhere. You know, try your best to put your hat in the ring and get some results if you want to get recruited, wrestle at the next level. It's like you got to hit these tournaments that are the big tournaments. You know, I think a lot of people get caught up in, you know, states or, you know, New England, whatever, especially in New England, they get caught up in, you know, New England's the end all be all, or, you know, you want to be a state champ, but it's like you be a state champ wherever, but you know, you gotta hit these tournaments. And if your school goes to like, you know, Beast of the East or Ironman or one of those, then it's a little different. But I would say, in my experience, I mean, Super 32 is that's got to be like the toughest tournament. I mean, Fargo too, but both of those are up there.
Gotcha. And then like, or which one? When did you first get contacted by Stanford?
Oh, funny enough, we had a coach named Jake Fisher. He's a multiple time Greco world team member, but when I first started getting recruited, I mean, GFA is high academic. They have high academic rigor. So my whole goal in the process, regardless, was high academic schools. So he actually, funny enough, when I first started getting recruited, he had at the time there was an old coaching staff, Nate Angle. He's at Oregon State now, but he was telling me, he's like, you gotta check out Stanford. And you know, I'm like, I don't know. I started getting a lot of calls after Fargo. I made the finals that year. And I started getting, you know, looked at by like, you know, all the Ivies, Penn, Cornell, all that good stuff. And he was like, yeah, you got to check out like Stanford. And then I was at the OTC in the summer. I forget, prepping for what. I think I went to like World Team Camp or something. And I met up with Nate there, and he was talking to me, and then he called me. So that like so it's kind of actually, I think around this time, my junior year, yeah, they reached out. So
nice.
I had like a little connection, so whatever.
And was part of the reason you were hesitant about Stanford was because it's so far out west?
Yeah, that was it. I was like, yeah, I got everything I need here, in the East, on the East Coast. So I was like, yeah. Plus, I mean, Cornell. I was committed to Cornell, so I loved Cornell at the time.
Pretty true.
Yeah. So.
And then you know, talking about your first ride, your first year at Stanford, you know, how pretty successful, you know.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, I think I was talking to someone about this last night, actually. I remember surprising myself a lot. Just, you know, it's like you're confident, but nothing can prepare you besides wrestling the D1 season to wrestle the D1 season. Like there's nothing else to prepare you for it. Like you go through preseason, you do whatever you want, but I was a true freshman at the time. So like, I wasn't prepared for, you know, weigh-ins like every week. I was not prepared to make 25 every week and compete at your best, right? Like, you got dual meets, yeah, whatever. I think I turned the tide around like Christmas break. I remember finally just being like, I gotta figure this out, you know? It was after like my 5 competitions. Like I knew I was gonna, you know, wrestle anyways, but after my 5, I was like, oh, well, now I kind of gotta do this. So yeah, I think at Scuffle, I remember surprising myself a lot. I took 3rd there. Mm-hmm. I avenged my only loss in the quarter. Coach at the time, Grant Leith, I remember I wrestled the quarter and we wrestled, I think it was overtime. I lost by a takedown, but, I remember being like surprised that I was in the match. And I'm like, why am I being surprised? You know, I mean, Oklahoma State, you got John Smith in the corner. I'm like, you know, deer in headlights. But then I was like, it's just wrestling at the end of the day, you know, and I've done it my whole life. So then from there, I was the belief. But I think by the end of the postseason, like I think the weight cut really got to me. And just, you know, whatever, obviously didn't have the results I wanted. But yeah, I wish I can go back and, you know, get it back. But yeah, you know, that's the sport we live in. So.
And then, you know, sophomore year, you know, had some ups and downs, you know, a little bit. Yeah. I'm pretty sure, I believe at one point, weren't you ranked number 1 at one point?
I was ranked 1 for like 2 months. Yeah, after Cliff Keen. I was ranked one for a while, but I mean, a lot of people were ranked one during that.
Yeah, that was pretty hectic. But what that feel like to
I was one of the guys. That was crazy. I remember Cliff Keen. Like I never even thought. I didn't even consider. Like it wasn't like my goal to win Cliff Keen. It's not like my goal to win win in season stuff. It's obviously at the end of the year, right? Everything prepares you for the end of the year. And I was way more mature. I took the weight cut a lot more serious, like my lifestyle, everything, just a lot more discipline. And it paid off. And I don't know. I remember being at home before because it was Thanksgiving break, and I was preparing at Southside. And I was just like, yeah, like we got Cliff Keen on Thursday. Like we leave Thursday or something. And it just was like very normal to me. Like I was like, oh, like they were like, oh, have you looked at the field? Have you looked at that? I'm like, nah, I don't know. I just go and wrestle. And then yeah, I got better every match that time. I wrestled Ramos in the quarter, and I remember being like, this guy was like, yeah, I just gotta go get. Air said something funny. He's like, yeah, I'm undefeated against Ramos, and I was like, dang, like I can't lose now. Yeah, and then the next thing you know, like you're in the semi, and then next thing you know, you're in the final. And next thing you know, you're like, I might as well win the thing, But it was fun. That was good for me. It helped me realize my potential, and I kind of let the number one get to me a little bit, even though I told myself not to. It's just tough when people are interviewing you. You got articles everywhere. You got asking to do this or whatever. Then you got guys. It was early in the season, right? So like a lot of those results don't matter. You take early season losses or whatever, but like I said, it matters in March.
And so you redshirted this past season, and did you know at any point during your sophomore year you were gonna redshirt, or was that kind of like a springtime summer decision?
No, it was actually a later decision than that. It was like fall winter decision. Yeah, I was dealing with some health stuff that it kind of dictated a lot of what was going on. I had the red shirt, so it was like I have it just in case, whatever. And as time went on, like the health issues got more serious, and then in and out of doctors or whatever it is. And then next thing I was like, yeah, the best thing for you right now is to redshirt. Even though I was actively trying to get back, actively trying to make weight. I didn't want to. And then when I realized like it was probably the best thing for me, sat down with our coaches, like it was like, all right, yeah, we got a red shirt. But looking back, I'm like, obviously everything happens for a reason. So yeah. I'm happy we did it. I grew a lot in the year, so that's good.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe something happens during the season where you can't compete freestyle or something, or you don't want to after wrestling so much.
There's a lot of things that go on. It's like everything that happens is good, and it made me hungry for the U.S. Open to get back, and next thing wrestling at Final X. So yeah. It's pretty sweet moment. But yeah, it was definitely not the plan. Let's just say that.
Sometimes the unorthodox paths are the best ones.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes Plan Z turns to Plan A quick.
Exactly. And the last thing I kind of want to touch on is the future. You mentioned 125, 57 could sometimes be a hard weight cut. So could we see you bumping up, at all?
Nah, I don't know. I mean, I was thinking, 41 or something, or I'm just messing with you. Now I'll wrestle 25. Seasons, like I said, the season's a lot different. I think like 1 or 2 weigh-ins in the spring, a little tougher. I did a pretty good job of shrinking my body, so for these, so it wasn't that bad. And like I said, I'm a lot more mature, so definitely this year, I owe 125 one, so I gotta get back. It'll be good. I'm excited. It's got some things cooking in the works to make cross training good, and wrestling's wrestling at the end of the day. So that's it.
How is Stanford gonna look next year?
Yeah, I mean everyone, the country's gonna see. We got some nails. I mean, we got some fellow New England guy right above me.
Very true.
He's not All-American. So.
Him on here soon.
Yeah, exactly. He's the man. Definitely a good idea.
Probably my favorite 1-2 punch.
Yeah. I think that's got to be the only New England 1-2 punch anywhere.
Yeah, I think
Gotta be. I can't think of another one. Um,
Sacred Heart or Harvard has one.
oh, okay, Harvard. Yeah, Harvard made New England. Yeah, you're right. True. Um, but yeah, no, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, our goes are hilarious. We wrestle a lot together. But I mean, we
Were you
got
guys like friends or at all before you guys went to?
yeah. I've known Knox for a while. Like just I mean, New England's so small. I've
Yeah.
known Knox for a long time. He was a big folk style guy though. So like I was my all my like I said, all my results came from freestyle. And then I had like a Super 32 result. So that was kind of it until I won like preps and nat and then GCA. But he went to like Beast of the East and all that good stuff, and he won all that. So Doc B. But I mean, we're gonna be good. I think we're gonna put 10 guys out there that are nails. We have some new freshmen just got here. We got our lineup pretty much back. Dan redshirted last year, so we'll be back together. We got guys like Hunter, Lorenzo. We just got a bunch of guys that are, we're gonna be 10 pretty deep. So
Definitely looking like at least the top 15 team.
our goal is, we want a trophy, and we know we can do it. So we're excited. We're training hard, and we're looking forward to it. We got a great system here, so it's gonna be exciting.
Well, Nico, is there anything else you'd like to add on?
I mean, that's it, man. Thank you for having me on. This was a lot of fun. I'm glad New England's getting the pub it deserves. You're doing a great job. So I appreciate you taking the time. And I mean, shout out New England wrestling. Pretty cool.
Oh yeah, shout out New England.